Hi guys, it's me, CJ. Good to see you this morning. Welcome back to another live stream here where we're going to be taking a look at some NBA player props for Wednesday, January 5th. It's a little after 11 here on the East Coast. I hope everybody's having a great morning. Good to see so many of you already in the chat this morning. Bring in the noise, bring in the energy. Love to see the positive vibes. How'd everybody do last night? I went a little bit lighter last night. For some reason, I started digging into some stuff, and nothing really just jumped out at me. Nothing really like stood out. Nothing caught my attention. So I just didn't have, I guess, I don't know, the energy, the mindset, whatever it may be. Whatever the reason is, it just didn't click. Nothing was really clicking for me. So I ended up going a little bit lighter, which is okay some nights. You know, if you're not feeling it, there's no need to force things. And I didn't want to feel like I was forcing anything, twisting my own arm and bringing, the Patreon members along with me for the ride. If there's something out there that looks really good, I'm going to pass it along. I'm going to put you on some winning plays. But if there's not, well, then I'm not going to force the issue either. And last night, it felt like I was kind of forcing the issue. So I didn't want to do that. I care about your bankrolls, your pocket, your wallet a little bit too much. All right. But we're back at it today. We got 11 NBA games to talk about. Of course, we're going to be getting into points, rebounds, assists, 3-point makes, and it looks like PrizePicks has blessed us again with free throw makes early this morning. Appreciate everybody who's joining me. Good to see everybody up in here. Taking a look at the comments. We got Denzel up in here. He says, good morning, my boy. Ready to double up today. Need some more gems. We're going to be on it for sure. Tony says, good morning. Yesterday was a weird night, but the Patreon chat with Toronto and LA got me to the money and to the taco. I think he's talking about both the Ja Morant taco. Hopefully you caught that one. And the LeBron James taco. Both ended up, I think, being tasty tacos. What do you guys think? Better Media, good to see you in here. How's it going? He's already talking about smashing that like button. I ain't even going to say it because you already know we got to run those likes up. 100 likes or more. Keep the streak alive. Keep the fire burning, folks. We got to keep it going. Emmanuel, good morning to you. Waiting on the analysis. It's coming, my friend. Stay patient. Good things come to those who wait. Good morning to Nick, Jay, Zamir. Nice to see all of you up in the chat this morning. Jeff Hodges Jr. says, good morning. Looking forward to making this a winning Wednesday. Well, listen, Jeff, I like that positive energy, that winning Wednesday energy. I liked it so much that I pinned it to the chat. Let's make it a winning Wednesday, folks. Pharaoh says, Fred VanVleet, let us eat. Love that rhyme. And yes, he did. Fred VanVleet over 21.5 points, a super solid play. Good morning to Carson. King says, let's go 4 winning days in a row now on Patreon. Patreon gang in the building. Love to see it, King. Thanks so much for joining me on the Patreon. Thank you for your support here on YouTube as well. Love to hear that you're winning like you're winning. Ronald's Green, what's happening to you? Another Patreon member. Everyday Fantasy says, let's get to business. Yes, we got a lot to talk about. 11 games, as we mentioned. Cam, good morning. Bridget, good morning to you. Nice to see you in here. Bridget just joined Patreon recently. Shout out to you, Bridget. Lowballer says, good morning. JY, what's happening to you? Matt Sessions, good morning from Savannah, Georgia. Well, good morning from Tampa, Florida. That's where I reside at. Beautiful day once again here in the Sunshine State. Jimmy Green says, good morning, beautiful people. Please join Discord and Patreon. CJ has created such an amazing community. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate those kind words, Jimmy, and I'm proud and glad that you're a member of that said community. Kyle, good morning to you. NBA Wednesday. Let's get this bread for sure, for sure. Todd says, look at those likes going up. Yes, keep smashing those likes. Appreciate the energy, Todd. Thank you so much for reminding everybody that the likes make the world go round. The likes make the world go round. Appreciate all the support, definitely. Mac B's up in the building. Chris Money's in the building. Roni, or Ronnie, I'm not sure how you say that. Today is going to be an easier day. Yeah, yesterday just seemed weird. It seemed weird to me. It seemed weird. I wasn't vibing with it, folks. Wasn't vibing with it. So like I said, threw a few entries out there. Didn't really hit anything, but I did see a lot of winners up in the Discord. If you go to the Winners Circle channel in my Discord, by the way, you can join the Discord down below. It's free to everybody. There is a portion of it that is for Patreon members only. So if you join the Discord and you don't see all the sport-specific channels, it's probably because you're not on Patreon, which is okay. Patreon's not for everybody. We're having fun. We're winning some money behind the scenes, though, in Patreon. But like I said, I don't sit up here and make any promises that you're going to get rich or that your wildest dreams and imaginations are going to be unlocked by joining Patreon. Look, we're just in there talking NBA basketball and player props. on PrizePicks. That's all it really is. I post some plays, some stats, some research that is standing out to me and hopefully lead people to the money. Jermail, what's happening? You could be tardy. We got DVR around here, baby. It's 2022. You could rewind this sucker. You could fast forward it. You could watch the replay. You could pause it. I think you could pause it. You could do all that stuff. Yes. Good morning. Good morning. Definitely hit the barber yesterday. For those of you wondering, took a little off the sides there. Looking a little more sleek on this Wednesday morning. Thank you to those who notice my sexiness. Yes, it's hard. It's hard looking this good. Good morning to everybody else. Dwayne, Jordan, Ace, JW, good morning to you, fam. Dim Dogs, you're back up in here. Love to see it. Victor, what's happening? DFS Whispers, what's happening to you as well? Anthony Taylor, longtime supporter of the YouTube channel, the Patreon community, Discord community. He's all up in everything that I've been doing right from the jump, so I appreciate you as well. Matthew, good morning. Cashed Off Info and Bron Taco Tuesday. Love it. Love when them tacos work out. It's a pain when they don't. Andre, what's happening? Drizzy Dre 93 from Patreon. Let's get the money tonight. Yes, sir. We're going to get back to it. Don't you worry. Ty Mail says he is in Orlando. Well, I love Orlando. I was just there not too long ago at a Magic game. Love to see it. Smooth, what's happening? Rocking the, is that a Fantasy Labs logo? Smooth 55 DFS. You know I rock with Fantasy Labs for sure, for sure. Love that. Port Charlotte in the building. Jonathan Newman, what's happening, Port Charlotte? Palm Springs, California checking in. Jonathan Figueroa, I see you, my friend. I see you. Chill Robots, what's happening? Blaze to the Sky Media Group is back in the building. Good to see you back again. Corey, good morning to you, buddy. He said he loves the show. Well, I love you for loving the show. Thanks for rocking with me, man. Means a lot. All right. Boston, Massachusetts checking in. Kissimmee. Hey, Kissimmee's right up the street. What's happening, Kissimmee? Got some good looks today. King Chris, one of our other Discord members. Love to see it. Last night, easy money for the Patreon gang. Mac B representing Patreon gang. Love it. Long Island, New York checking in. All right. As you folks continue to join, make sure you're smashing that like button. And if you're not subscribed yet, it's a great opportunity to go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Yesterday marked another milestone. We passed 3,500 subscribers, folks. 3,500 subscribers. I just started this thing on January 1st of last year. So just a little over a year in, 3,500 subscribers. Again, cannot be possible, would not be possible without all of you. So thank you so much. And I'm glad that I'm able to provide some value, bring people together, bond over daily fantasy sports, prop bets, NBA basketball, all of the things. So let's go ahead and get down to business. If you don't play on PrizePicks yet, now's a great time to do so. 100% instant deposit match on your first deposit. So if you've never played on PrizePicks before, maybe this is the first time you've ever heard about PrizePicks and you just stumbled across my channel. All you do on PrizePicks, pick your favorite players, pick your favorite props, decide whether they're going to go over or under that particular prop. You put 2, 3, 4, or 5 of those picks together. And then you figure out how much you want to risk, and you can win up to 10 times, even 15 times your money. Promo code Curry, you see it floating above my head, don't you? You can also use the link down in the description below to get a 100% instant deposit match. They're going to double your first deposit instantly. All right. You know the drill by now, folks. Swig of water, and then we'll get down to this 11-game NBA slate. Woo! Let's run it. Houston Rockets at Washington Wizards. Super sky high total from this game, 230 implied points with a 7.5 point spread in favor of the home team, the Washington Wizards. This is going to be a fun one. This is probably going to be one of them games where you're going to end up taking a few players here and slapping the over. So let's see who's out for both teams. We got Jarreau, Brooks, Garuba, and Sengun. Probably Sengun being the most impactful one, maybe Brooks for Houston. But overall, looking pretty healthy here. Wood, Tate, Gordon, Green, and Porter Jr. That's been kind of their mainstay starting 5. Over on the Washington side, lots of names here. Lots of names out. The biggest ones are going to be Montrezl Harrell, Rui Hachimura, Spencer Dinwiddie. And then you got a number of other names in here as well. But this one should be a high-scoring, up-tempo, fast-paced style game. Looking like one of them games where the guards will probably eat. I could see this one being a shootout. 7 p.m. also brings us the Philadelphia 76ers at the Orlando Magic. 211-point total, 8.5-point spread. We're probably going to get killed by Philadelphia, folks. That's just the way it's been for the Orlando Magic this season. Looking at these injuries, we got Powell as a game-time decision. Springer, Simmons, Maxey, Reed, Tybal, and Milton already ruled out. Over on the Orlando side, pay attention to Cole Anthony. He's a game-time decision. Maybe he plays tonight. I don't know his status right now. According to Numberfire here, they've got him slotted in as the starting point guard. So we're starting to get our players back. We got Anthony Harris, Wagner, Wendell Carter Jr., and Mo Bamba as the projected starting lineup. So we'll have to see how that goes. Moving things down to the next game, 7 p.m. Detroit Pistons at the Charlotte Hornets. 229.5 point total here. Another sky high total, but beware, be careful. It's a 10-point spread, which means this falls into blowout risk territory for me. So if you're wanting to take some props from this game, maybe it's a little safer to look at the first half only player props. Maybe you don't go full game here. But if you think Detroit stays competitive and makes this a interesting competitive game, well then go ahead and take some full game props. The total here of 229.5 is definitely eye-catching. Looking at the injuries, we got Joseph, Grant, Jackson, Livers or Livers, still don't know how to say his name, probably never will, Olenek, Stewart, and Smith. I think Stewart got cleared. He might end up playing. I don't know. I think he was on the list of getting cleared. PJ Washington for Charlotte, the biggest injury news to keep an eye out on. 7:30 p.m. San Antonio Spurs at the Boston Celtics. 224 implied points. Pretty nice total here as well. 8-point spread. Maybe it's creeping into blowout territory. It's looking like the Boston Celtics are back to their normal starting five. Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, Robert Williams. So things are starting to smooth out across the league. We're starting to see more of these teams get their regular cast of characters in there, normal rotations, normal starting lineups. So you love to see that. More predictable basketball, hopefully, to come. Over on the San Antonio side, it's already been mentioned that DeJounte Murray is expected to play tonight. He'll be back in the lineup for San Antonio. So they're pretty much back to full strength as well. Still missing Doug McDermott. He's probably the most impactful injury piece there. 7:30 p.m. Brooklyn Nets at Indiana Pacers. 225 implied points. Another nice, juicy total from this game. 8-point spread, though, so maybe there's a little concern for a blowout. We know Indiana, they're missing a lot of players out of their backcourt. So tonight it's going to be the likes of Kiefer Sykes and Dwayne Washington Jr. We discussed Dwayne Washington Jr.'s point prop yesterday. I think some of you took it at 11.5 points. He ended up being 12.5 points. Doesn't matter, though. He covered both of his points props. So maybe you go back to some Dwayne Washington Jr. tonight. Looking at the Brooklyn side of things, LaMarcus Aldridge is the biggest news piece. Game time decision for him. And we can't just talk about the Brooklyn Nets and skip over the fact that Kyrie Irving's back. Yes, Kyrie back in the lineup for the Brooklyn Nets. How will that impact James Harden, Kevin Durant? Remains to be seen. This is the first time we're seeing Kyrie Irving all season long. I don't know what to expect. And for that reason, I'll probably leave it alone and not touch any Brooklyn Nets players. Now you got three superstars in the lineup. So how's that going to shake things up? That is the big question. Looking at the other side of this game, Indiana, as I mentioned, dealing with a long list of injuries. We got Duarte, Lamb, McConnell, Jackson, Martin, Warren, LeVert, Batadze, Brogdon. Biggest ones here, obviously, Brogdon, LeVert. Those guys are going to be completely thin in their backcourt. So maybe James Harden and Kyrie Irving come out and ball these no-name nobodies up for Indiana. We'll have to see. 7:30 p.m. Golden State Warriors at the Dallas Mavericks. Another game with a pretty decent total. 213 points, 5.5-point spread. I can't wait for Klay Thompson to get back. He should be back really soon, probably by the end of the month from what it sounds like. Andre Iguodala, game time decision. Looking at the Dallas side of things, no Kristaps Porzingis. That is obviously the biggest news piece of this one. So you're going to see the ugly front court of Dwight Powell and Maxi Kleber back in there once again. And you know I'm going to probably have to take the over on Dorian Finney-Smith's rebounds because the last time I did, he fouled out and he fell short. Dorian Finney-Smith, you owe me money. And I'm coming to collect tonight. One ticket will definitely have some Dorian Finney-Smith over 4.5 rebounds if that's his number today. 8 p.m. Oklahoma City Thunder at the Minnesota Timberwolves, 216 implied points, 7.5 point spread. The biggest one here is going to be what's happening with Karl Anthony Towns and what's happening with D'Angelo Russell. Right now, they are projected to be in the starting lineup according to Number Fire, but definitely stay on top of the news. We know NBA news is so fluid these days, you never know what's going to happen with all this COVID stuff going around. Lou Dort is already ruled out for the Oklahoma City Thunder. 8 p.m., 226.5 points. Man, I'm loving some of these totals tonight. I just am. They're very high, 225, 230 plus points. Sounds like some games to target some overs, if you ask me. Looking at the Toronto Raptors, Goran Dragic ruled out. He's probably the biggest one. Looking at the Milwaukee Bucks, we've got to keep an eye on, I don't know, maybe Nwora. Is that how you say his name? Nwora? Pat Connaughton, DiVincenzo, Grayson Allen, and Brook Lopez all out for Milwaukee. So it's kind of a question mark. Who's going to start at shooting guard for Milwaukee? I'm going to guess that Nwora is going to be back in the lineup, being that Grayson Allen's ruled out. Maybe they do a little tag team where they tag the other guy in. Grayson Allen tags out, Nwora tags in. I hope I'm saying his name right. That's why I'm having fun with it, because I could be totally butchering it. 10 p.m., guys. We're getting into the late night game. Utah Jazz at the Denver Nuggets, 221.5 point total. Now, not only do we have 220 implied points, but we also have a spread of just 3.5, meaning this game projects to stay close and competitive. A lot of names to be on the lookout for the Utah Jazz. Hassan Whiteside, Royce O'Neal, Bojan Bogdanovic, Rudy Gobert. All game time decisions. Joe Ingles already ruled out for Utah. We look over at the Denver Nuggets side of things. Already ruled out is Dozier, Murray, Porter, Howard, Green, Konkar, and Morris. Austin Rivers, game time decision. I guess he's kind of impactful. He has been in the starting lineup. 10 p.m. also brings us another fun one that should be an absolute shootout. Atlanta Hawks at the Sacramento Kings, 230.5 point total. Love to see that, with a spread of just 1 point. Sacramento, right now, appears to be completely healthy. But on the Atlanta side, we got to talk about Hill, Hunter Johnson, Hill, Bogdanovic, Jang, and Jason Collins. They all are ruled out. Keep an eye on both Cam Reddish and Trae Young. They are game time decisions at the moment, but love the total and the spread from that game. 10 p.m. also brings us the Miami Heat at the Portland Trail Blazers. 217 implied points, 1 point spread here in favor of the Miami Heat. Look at all the red, all the players ruled out. We've got Dwayne Dedmon, Bam Adebayo, Morris, Oladipo, Haslam, Robinson, Holman, Butler, Akbala, Vincent, Garrett. So it's going to be Kyle Lowry, Tyler Herro. You're going to have Yurtseven, PJ Tucker. Maybe those guys are in play. Portland side of things, no McCollum, no Lillard. Those are obviously two huge pieces of injury news. Larry Nance Jr., keep an eye on him as well. Right now, he is not slated to be in the starting lineup, so he might be out. Whew, that's it, guys. All 11 games right there for you in a nutshell. So let's get things dialed in here. We're using Fantasy Labs. We're using Action Labs to help out with our player prop research. Let's go ahead and refresh. Make sure we have all the latest projections pulled into Action Labs. By the way, if you're interested in signing up for Fantasy Labs, Action Labs, promo code coming soon, guys. Might be able to save you a few bucks. You guys are already super active up in the chat. We're going to definitely get right today. Lots of games, lots to talk about. Blessings to you, Said. Thanks for being here. If you got picks and plays that you're interested in me looking at, hold off. Leave those at the end. You'll know, because I'll say, kicking it on over to the chat. All right? All right. Let's get into it. Allergies are kicking my butt today. The points props, we're going to start there. Looking at the last 10 games, guys that have been hitting at a high hit rate. We got to talk about Sadiq Bey. Is he up on the board? He is. 20.5 points. He's facing off against the Charlotte Hornets. Why Sadiq Bey? Well, put simply, in the last 10 games, Sadiq Bey has an 80% hit rate. Now, if we fast forward to the last 5 games, you see that he's got a 100% hit rate. Dude's been getting buckets. He's been getting it done with Jeremy Grant, some of these other cats out of the lineup. Averaging 26.6 points per game, and he gets what is probably going to be a very friendly matchup against the Charlotte Hornets tonight. So let's go take a look at this matchup. To do so, we are pulled up here with Fantasy Pros, totally free tool. This little chart here has been super helpful for me to identify plus matchups, or in some cases minus matchups where we could take unders. But life's too short to take unders, right? We go overs more than we go unders, and maybe that's our Achilles heel. Maybe we should be taking more unders. But nonetheless, Saddiq Bey kind of slots in at the forward, sometimes guard position. We don't have to go down very far here, folks. Charlotte allowing 23.8 points per game to opposing small forwards. That is the 7th most in the last 7 games. Love the matchup here. Let's say Saddiq Bey is the power forward, just for fun. Just for fun. We'll go down and find the Charlotte Hornets here. They're doing a little bit better job at defending against the opposing power forwards. So they're giving up 19.2, still a good amount of points, but you could kind of see where they rank down toward the bottom. And I'll even give you a look at how Charlotte does against opposing shooting guards. They're giving up the first most amount of points per game in the last 7 games to opposing 2 guards, 29.1 points, guys. So 2 out of these 3 matchups, the shooting guard and small forward positions, looking very good here for Saddiq Bey. Love the matchup, love the total, and I think the spread is pretty decent too. But if you feel like it blows out, obviously first half only. So Saddiq Bey's projection today, 17.1. I don't know if I agree with that. That seems a little bit too low. All right, definitely cross-reference this on some of the other sites that offer projections. If you're not rocking with this projection of 17.1, for me, I think it's a little bit too light. Again, he's got an 80% hit rate in the last 10 games, 100% hit rate in his last 5 games. Now you look across the board here at various books. They've got him going over, minus 125 odds on a couple of the different sites. So I think he makes for a good look tonight. Maybe we go over some Saddiq Bey points with the high hit rates. Did I say Jason Collins? Oh, I did. I meant John Collins. Who's Jason Collins? He was the twin, right? That played center in the NBA. I was close. I mean, that counts, right? I did say Jason Collins. You're right. You're right. I knew it sounded funny coming out of my mouth when I let that one rip. John Collins, not Jason Collins. Jason Collins is the twin center, the Collins brothers. Well, thanks for keeping me accountable and calling me out and embarrassing me in front of thousands of people. You jerk. Dominic. No, I'm just kidding. Appreciate you keeping me accountable. Andrew Wiggins, another guy we've got to talk about, 17.5 points. 70% hit rate at 17.5 points. He's been a guy that's been getting it done. He's up today against the Dallas Mavericks. So we talked about the hit rate over the last 10 being 70%. We look at the last 5 games. Dude's at 100% hit rate, 22.6 points per game. Wiggins has been in his bag. 4 straight games of 20-plus points, 5 straight games of covering 17.5 points. This number seems too low, folks. It just seems too low. What else do they need to see out of Andrew Wiggins before they put him up at 18.5? 19.5? I don't know, but they're slow to react. Seems like they're slow to react. We'll keep it quiet though. We'll whisper just amongst ourselves. This looks like a good play. It looks like a pretty good play. Let's go find the Dallas Mavericks and see how many points they've been giving up to the small forward position. Over the last 7 games, 18.2 points per game allowed. Not a great matchup. You can see where they rank down toward the bottom of this list here. So do you think they clamp him? Maybe. Maybe Dorian Finney-Smith fouls out again. You know, he can't keep his hands to himself. Maybe Andrew Wiggins gets to the free throw line a lot. Let's go ahead and pull up a projection for Andrew Wiggins. I'm already liking today's slate way better, way more than I liked yesterday's slate, FYI. He's projected for 19.7 points. Obviously, that puts him over 17.5. Now, I don't know why, folks, but they're already taking the under on Andrew Wiggins at 17.5. Maybe they're finally hoping for a correction. And by correction, I mean Steph Curry's been bad lately. He's been pretty bad. So maybe they think Steph Curry comes back to life. Andrew Wiggins finally starts to cool off. But listen, the action projection tools got him 2 points higher than the 17.5, but the betting public are taking the under. They were wrong last night once again. They took the under on Kyle Kuzma's rebounds over the weekend or whatever it was, and he ended up crushing that in the first half almost. And then they were betting the hell out of the under on Tyrese Halliburton under 8.5 assists. Guess what? Tyrese Halliburton had 9 assists. So screw you, betting public. You don't know what you're talking about. Sometimes we have to fade these odds out on these sports books. Maybe there's a bunch of donkeys out there putting donkey money down on some of these props. I don't know. Sometimes I fade the projections. Sometimes I just fade the public. Andrew Wiggins, though, nonetheless, getting it done. 17.5 points, 70% hit rate, and 100% hit rate in the last 5 games. He's another look. Dominic, don't you dare apologize to me, son. Chin up. You did what had to be done. I said Jason Collins. His name's clearly John Collins. I own it. It was my mistake. Let's go ahead and talk about some of these other folks. We talked about Tyrese Halliburton and his assists. Now, Halliburton's on a back-to-back here, folks. He did not score the basketball very well. He's also not up on the PrizePicks board at the moment, but at 14.5 points, 70% hit rate, gets a nice matchup here against the Atlanta Hawks. So do you think Tyrese Halliburton bounces back after a slump of a scoring night, or do you think he remains more of the assister of the 2 point guards or the 2 guards in Sacramento, him and De'Aaron Fox? I don't know. Remains to be seen. Aaron Gordon, another guy at 12.5 points. Is he up on the board? Let's look for him. 12.5 points. He's been getting it done. 70% hit rate, surprisingly, in his last 10 games. I'm not seeing Aaron Gordon up on the board just yet. Maybe they'll add those later games in at some point. Do we trust Cade Cunningham today? Cade Cunningham at 18.5 versus Charlotte. He'll be matched up probably with Lonzo Ball. That'll be a fun little dynamic to watch those 2 young guards go back and forth. Cade at 18.5 points, 70% hit rate in his last 10 games, 60% in the last 5. You can see he missed quite a bit of time between December 21st and January 3rd, couple of weeks there, as he sat out with close contact, COVID stuff, whatever they're calling it, protocols. But he did come back on January 3rd, 2 days ago against the Milwaukee Bucks and dropped 19 points. So he didn't blow today's 18.5 point projection away by any means. But we know this matchup's going to be a good one. So let's go take a look at it. We talked about his teammate Sadiq Bey in a good spot. Maybe Cade Cunningham is also in a good spot. So we'll head back over here, go find the Charlotte Hornets. Where are they at? Wow, they're actually down toward the bottom. They're giving up the 4th fewest points per game to opposing point guards. Don't love the matchup. I don't love the matchup. Got to be honest. Got to be real. Don't love that. 4th fewest points allowed to opposing point guards. So right now I'm kind of rocking with Sadiq Bey more than I am Cade Cunningham. Pulling up a projection for Cunningham, 15.7 projected points. We're seeing him at 18.5 points across 4 different books as a betting favorite to go under. As high as minus 130 odds, by the way. So the betting public, once again, taking the under on this prop. Now this one I could probably get on board with for an underplay. Looking at the matchup, looks like it's going to be kind of tough. Maybe Cade struggles, but this will be a high-scoring game. This will be an up-tempo, fast-paced game. So, I don't know. Feels a little questionable to take an under on anybody from this game. Timel Tuggles says, Halliburton is not even looking at the basket. I know, right? I took his free throws last night, too, hoping because he would have the ball in his hands. Him and Fox are the primary ball-dominant guys on the Sacramento Kings. I took his free throw props, hoping he would attack the basket. Tyrese Halliburton wasn't looking to score. You're right. You are absolutely right about that. All right, guys. Those are some of your high hit rate point guys. Other ones maybe to consider. We could just quickly do some shout-outs here. Drew Holiday at 20.5 points. His teammate, Chris Middleton, 17.5 points. Both of those guys hitting at a 70% clip over the last 10 games. I will let you dig into those on your own. Do a little bit of independent research. Let's move it on over to the rebounders. I think we've touched on some very promising points props. What do you guys think? Nod your head yes if you agree. All right, looking at some rebounders. I took this guy last game. This guy right here, Seth Curry at 2.5 rebounds. Listen, I don't always feel great about taking point guards or undersized shooting guards in rebound spots, but it's been working out. See Chris Paul last night at 4.5 boards. I saw some folks take the over on Chris Paul at 4.5 rebounds. That ended up working out. Maybe we throw Seth Curry into the mix as well, because over the last 10 games, 70% of the time, he has gotten at least 3 rebounds or more. 3 rebounds or more. So things are looking good here for Seth Curry, averaging 3.6 boards per game in the last 5. Let's go look at this matchup here. We are looking at Seth Curry against Orlando. He is the point guard for Philadelphia. We go down the list here. We don't have to go down super far. They're giving up 6.6 rebounds per game, which puts them just outside of the top 10 most rebounds allowed to the point guard position. So 6.6, he only needs 3 rebounds. This could be a decent spot to go back to Seth Curry on his rebound prop. Let's head over to Action Labs. We're taking a look at the rebound projections here for Curry. Seth is projected for 3.3 boards. And we got betting odds minus 130, minus 125 respectively, saying they agree that he could go over 2.5 rebounds. So he's one to definitely consider. Good spot for him. Another sneaky little guard who's been pulling down some rebounds. I don't know if he's up on the board. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry. Now we know the Miami Heat are going to be awfully thin. All of their big time players are out. It's pretty much Kyle Lowry, Tyler Herro getting it done. 4.5 rebounds in the last 10 games, 60% hit rate. Still rocking a 60% hit rate in the last 5 games, averaging 5.8 rebounds per game. That's significantly more than the 4.5 that he's listed at today. So let's go look at this matchup. Obviously, he's a point guard, and he's facing off against the Portland Trail Blazers. They're just below the aforementioned team. Just below them. They're giving up 6.2 rebounds per game. We talked about Orlando. They're giving up about 6.6 rebounds per game. Lowry would need 5, so maybe this one's a little bit tougher than Seth Curry's rebounds. Maybe it's a little bit tougher. But we know that the Miami Heat, again, are going to be dealing with a long list of injuries. So let's go pull up a projection here for Mr. Kyle Lowry. This guy's still in the league. Seems like he's been in the league forever. Got him projected for 5.3 boards, putting him over 4.5. And on a couple different sites here, betting favorite to go over as well, minus 130, minus 125 odds respectively. So after these guys, I mean, starts to kind of fall off a little bit in terms of like hit rates. We still have some guys rocking like 60% hit rates, guys like Draymond Green versus Dallas tonight. Dallas obviously going to be without Kristaps Porzingis, but they will have kind of a twin tower lineup in there. Maxi Kleber, Dwight Powell. So how do we think Draymond Green does against that twin tower configuration for the Dallas Mavericks? Obviously, you also have to factor in Luka Doncic, who gets on the glass. He's a oversized point guard. He's really like a small forward who plays point guard, a point forward. Do we think Draymond Green finds enough rebounding opportunities with all of the size over on the Dallas side of things? I don't know. He is a power forward, though. Let's go take a look and see how he matches up, how Dallas has been doing in terms of rebounds allowed to the power forward position. We got to go down pretty far here. They're giving up the 3rd fewest rebounds in the last 7 games to opposing power forwards at just 8.5 rebounds. That doesn't leave a whole lot of ceiling, a whole lot of upside for Draymond Green when his line is sitting at 7.5. So I'm a little skeptical that Dre gets it done. Let's pull a projection up for Draymond Green. Looks like more props are being added to the PrizePicks board in real time here, folks. Gotta love it. I got Draymond Green projected for 8.1, barely getting him over the 7.5 hump. 2 different sports books have him going over as well. Minus 125 betting odds. So there you go. Dre Day. Draymond Green. You guys are talking about Seth Curry assists. We definitely got to talk with some Seth Curry assists at some point. Good morning to you, George. Good to see you this morning. But yes, Seth Curry's assists have been super nice. Both his rebounds and his assists. looking super nice. So we'll keep things quiet on Seth Curry's assists for right now. Hopefully he's up on the board and he's up at a good number. We already talked about Saddiq Bey once before, liking his points prop. You can also maybe look at his rebound prop because over the last 10 games, he is hitting at a 60% hit rate. And then if you look at the last 5, 10.4 rebounds per game, a 100% hit rate for Saddiq Bey. This dude has been balling. He's crushing his points props. He's crushing his rebound props. But Detroit is starting to get healthy. They're still without Jeremy Grant, but they are getting healthier. Cade Cunningham back in the lineup. Will he cut into Saddiq Bey's production? Maybe. Nonetheless, at 7.5 rebounds, he has been getting it done in the last 5 games, including the last game against Milwaukee with Cade Cunningham in the lineup. So there's a reason to be optimistic here that Saddiq Bey continues the trends. He hit his points prop and his rebounds prop with Cade Cunningham back in the lineup last game. So let's go to the small forward position. We'll look at the rebounds that Charlotte allows to that position. We go down a little bit. They're giving up about 8 boards per game, meaning Saddiq Bey would have to get nearly every rebound that Charlotte has been giving up in that 7-game span. Could be tough. Could be asking a lot for him to pull in every rebound. He kind of plays power forward, small forward, power forward. I know they list him as like guard forward, but without Jeremy Grant around, Saddiq Bey's been playing a little bit more of that power forward role. Looking for Charlotte here. Hornets. Where are they at? Oh, they're giving up about 11 rebounds per game to opposing power forwards, which is pretty good. If you see where they rank here, it's toward the top. So like around like the top 10 in terms of rebounds allowed. So definitely some upside here for Saddiq Bey, looking at those numbers. Pulling up a projection. Again, if you don't like Saddiq Bey and his points, maybe you consider his rebounds. I got him projected for 6.7 boards, which puts him under 7.5. Lots of action coming in on the under at Saddiq Bey's 7.5 boards, minus 130, minus 135, betting favorite to go under 7.5 boards. But again, the betting public has been wrong before. But I will say, looking at some of these games, he's coming really, really close to like missing his rebound prop. 8 against San Antonio, 8 against Milwaukee. Now he's got 17 rebound upside against a team like San Antonio, but this is more of an outlier. We probably shouldn't expect double-digit rebounds out of Saddiq Bey most of the time, especially with Cade Cunningham and some of these other guys getting back healthy. So there you go. Another rebounder to take a look at. If we get Nikola Jokic up, I expect we will. Maybe he's already up and I haven't seen him yet. But if we get Nikola Jokic up at 13.5 boards, I think he is somebody worth considering as well. Although it will be a tough matchup against the Utah Jazz. We're waiting to see what's happening with both Rudy Gobert, and Hassan Whiteside. They're both game time decisions at the moment. So keep an eye out on both of those players. So there's some rebounds. Let's take a look at some assist props. Guys who are hitting their assist prop with great regularity. Look, I just got to point this out. How nice is it to see this guy on the board while I drink a little bit of water? You guys tell me, how nice is it to see Kyrie Irving back on the PrizePicks board, folks? Brings a smile to my face. I love it. Obviously, no scoring details available because Kyrie Irving has been sitting out all season long. I'm going to take the wait and see approach, but I don't know. Maybe you guys are feeling some type of way about it and you think Kyrie Irving can get at least 4 assists versus the Indiana Pacers. I don't know. I got to wait and see. We talked about Seth Curry just a moment ago. I told you guys we'd kind of keep it on the hush. Now it's time to talk about it. Seth Curry's assist at 4. I liked him a little better at 3.5, but 4, still getting it done at 4. 5 straight games, 100% hit rate, 6 assists per game. Now we look at his numbers at 4.5 assists over the last 10 games. At 4.5 assists, just a 60% hit rate. Not quite as nice, but still decent. Luckily for us, we're not looking at 4.5. We're looking at 4. So a little bit more doable here. A little more doable. But even at 4.5, he's covered in 5 straight games. So let's go pull up this matchup here. We talked about liking some Seth Curry rebounds, but I think the assists the assists are going to be the even sweeter way to take Seth Curry. We go find the Orlando Magic. They're giving up about 7.8 dimes per game to opposing point guards. So kind of puts them in the middle of the pack. Not a great matchup, not a poor matchup, just average. Average matchup. So we're not fading it for any reason. But we shouldn't expect like some 10 assist game or anything either. Seth Curry, I got him projected at 3.5 assists today, which puts him under 4 assists. And as I mentioned, he's at 4.5 dimes on a couple of different books, minus 145 and minus 135. Betting favorite to go under 4.5 assists, which is why PrizePicks has him up at exactly 4. They've shaved off or rounded down the hook. The 0.5, that's the hook. That's known as the hook. They've rounded that down to 4. So maybe he ends up in a push situation. Guys, I'm going to have to lean toward the over on Seth Curry here. And maybe worst case, he does end up with four assists. It's better than him ending up with 3 assists and us losing the bet. But hard to argue with a guy who's hit in 5 straight games. Nick is saying that the books are going to clean up on Kyrie props tonight. Toby, you're liking the over on Kyrie's points, 19.5. Listen, I put something out there the other day on Twitter. There was a little debate. A couple of the guys who do lines making for PrizePicks were discussing Kyrie Irving today. This was a couple days back. They said, what do you think Kyrie Irving's point prop line would be? And I said 19.5. And it sounds like he's at 19.5. Some people said, I'm going to short him, meaning they think that he's going to go for less than 19.5 points tonight. Someone said they thought maybe the appropriate line for Kyrie's return would be 20 plus points, 21, something like that. I said 19.5. It looks like the books agree that 19.5 looks like a pretty reasonable number for Kyrie Irving. So I don't know what's going to happen with him. Sed says, hit the like button. Sed, you're a real one, man. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for reminding the fine folks out there to hit that like button. All right, let's look at some of these other assist props. We already talked about a fan favorite, which is Seth Curry. No brainer, no doubt. Listen, I told you guys that Saddiq Bey's been balling, right? We've talked about his points. We've talked about his rebounds. We're going to also talk about his assists because in the last 10 games at 2.5 assists, 70% hit rate. Last 5 games, 80% hit rate. Cade Cunningham, yes, he's back in the lineup. He was back in the lineup against Milwaukee. That did not stop Saddiq Bey from hitting his points prop, his rebounds prop, and his assist prop today of 2.5 dimes. And again, we like the matchup here against Charlotte because Charlotte's going to be run and gun. They're going to put up a lot of points. So are the Pistons. It's going to be an up and down, high-paced, back and forth type of affair between these two teams. I expect Charlotte to win. But I expect there to be opportunities for Saddiq Bey to collect at least 3 assists tonight. So let's go take a look at the matchup here. More Saddiq Bey talk. More Saddiq Bey talk. He's just been too hot to ignore. And I mean on the basketball court, you perverts. All right? Don't get any weird ideas. 3.6 assists allowed by the Charlotte Hornets to opposing power forwards. 3.6, so there's a little upside here. Not a lot, but a little bit. Let's go look at the small forward position. Charlotte giving up 3.6 assists to opposing small forwards. So for me, it's more about where they rank and less about the number here. Top 10 in terms of assists allowed to opposing small forwards. So I think there's some upside here for Saddiq Bey in this matchup. His points are looking good. His rebounds are looking good. I got him projected for 2.4 dimes. Putting him real close in the same ballpark as 2.5. It's not enough for me to fade. You know, if this was like 1.4, I'd say, all right, maybe these projections are onto something here. But at 2.4, close enough. Horseshoes and hand grenades, right? Looking across 3 different books, 2 books have him going over 2.5. 1 book, they're saying minus 125 under 2.5 assists. So 3 different ways to play Saddiq Bey, all looking pretty juicy. Pretty juicy. Another guy that's worth mentioning, not up on the board just yet, Will Barton. If we get Will Barton up on the board, 3.5 assists. He's got a 70% hit rate in the last 10 games. He is definitely one worth considering. Kyle Lowry, 9.5 assists, a 60% hit rate on Kyle Lowry. Now, at first glance, this number seems ridiculously high for him. He's got a 60% hit rate in the last 5 games, averaging just 8.8 assists, though. That puts him under 9.5. We talked about all the injuries, all the players that are going to be out for Miami. Does that change Kyle Lowry's role? Does he look to score more and assist less? Jimmy Butler went down against Golden State, but Kyle Lowry maintained double-digit assists at 11. He's got back-to-back games with double-digit assists. He's got 3 games in the last 5 where he's gone for 11 or more dimes. So let's look at this matchup real quick, and then we'll move on to the next category. Looking at assists, Portland giving up 10.6 dimes per game to opposing point guards in the last 7 games. So the matchup is definitely there for Kyle Lowry. This looks like a favorable matchup on paper. Could be another game where he gets 10 or more dimes. Let's pull up a projection for Mr. Lowry. Got him going for 9 assists, which isn't enough to cover 9.5. But on one sports book, betting favorite at -120 to go over 9.5. I don't know how to feel about this. I'm going to have to probably sit out on this prop and kind of see the dynamic of Kyle Lowry, Tyler Herro, and the rest of these, guys, PJ Tucker, Yurtseven. I don't know how it's going to play out. Don't know if I love it. But yeah, if, like Denzel is saying, if we really love Saddiq Bey, like we think we like Saddiq Bey, his points, his rebounds, his assists, well, then we should really be considering his fantasy points props. Or if you play on a site that offers points, rebounds, and assists, maybe you take the over on that. Maybe you do. All right. More props being added in here. Gotta love it. Thank you so much to PrizePicks. Appreciate you folks putting up a few more assist props for us. Do we want to go here? Revenge game. Mason Plumlee, former Detroit Piston. Do we want to go here at 2.5 assists, 60% hit rate in his last 10 games? Last 4 games, he has gone over 2.5 assists, rocking an 80% hit rate in the last 5. 3.6 assists per game average. Do we want to go here, though? A big man dropping dimes? Is this the great value brand Nikola Jokic right here? Are we witnessing the great value brand Mason Plumlee, the great value brand Nikola Jokic and Mason Plumlee? I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's go look at the center position. We're going to see how many assists are allowed by the Detroit basketball team. Got to go down a ways. They're giving up 2.6 dimes per game to opposing centers, which is down toward the bottom. It's like middle, but down toward the bottom of the middle. Guy's been getting it done, though. It's kind of interesting, right? Let's go pull up a projection on Plumlee. Plum Dog Millionaire. 3.1 assists is his projection today. 3 different sites, all pretty heavy on the over here. -135, -140, betting favorite to cover 2.5 dimes. Maybe the off-brand Nikola Jokic. You know what? I'm going to stop doing that. Respect, salute to Mason Plumlee. He's a starting center in the NBA, doggone it. I got to put some respect on his name. But yeah, Mason Plumlee against the Pistons, his former team. Little revenge narrative, if you want to call it that. He's another one to look at. There's a lot of other guys in the last 10 games who have been hitting at a pretty decent rate on their assist prop. We won't get into all of them. But if you get Miles Bridges up somewhere, you can possibly look at him. Draymond Green at 8 assists. He's been doing a fantastic job over the last 5 games. 8 or more dimes in 5 straight. That's actually a 100% hit rate. So Draymond Green versus Dallas could be in play. Just quickly, I'll pull up a projection for you. Draymond, 7.4 projected dimes. He's at 8.5 on one book, 7.5 on another book. Now at 8.5, they're smacking the under at -145, but at 7.5, they're smacking the over at -135. So PrizePicks has split the difference here. He's at 8 assists. So I'd probably lean toward the over here and hope he finds at least 9 dimes. but pretty good hit rate there for Draymond Green at 8 or better in 5 straight games. So let's move it on over to some 3-point makes. We've talked points, rebounds, assists. So far, the star of the show has been Saddiq Bey. Listen, I don't want to get you guys too hyped up on anybody, all right? Yesterday, the star of the show was Fred VanVleet. You guys wouldn't stop talking about Fred VanVleet and his points. The dude ended up hitting. He ended up hitting. So I don't know if you guys are loving Saddiq Bey like you were loving FVV. But maybe, right? Maybe Saddiq Bey is the star of the show today. Maybe. All right, we're going to take a look at some 3-point hitters. See who's been dropping them in from beyond the arc at a high clip and who hasn't. We talked about loving the matchup here between Charlotte and Detroit. Who do we trust out of these 3-point shooters? Do we trust LaMelo Ball, Cade Cunningham? Do we trust Gordon Hayward? Hayward's been hot. Let's just take a look at him. Might be scoring, but he ain't scoring too great from beyond the arc. So I don't know that I love that from first glance. LaMelo Ball, is he that guy? LaMelo Ball is in this crazy little holding pattern here. Under, over, under, over, under. What would that mean for tonight, folks? You that are playing along at home, that would mean that LaMelo Ball might be in a spot to go over tonight. Once again, he doesn't have typically 2 bad nights in a row from beyond the arc. So, at 2.5 3-point makes, a 60% hit rate in the last 10 games. 40% hit rate in the last 5 games. Let's take a look at this matchup for LaMelo Ball going up against the Detroit basketball team. The 3-point makes by Detroit to opposing point guards. Oh, man, where are they at? Oh, they're kind of stingy. 1.8 3-point makes allowed to opposing point guards in the last 7 games. That's the 3rd fewest, folks. Tough matchup on paper. Let's say, for whatever reason, he's the shooting guard. Him and Terry Rozier, kind of interchangeable, point guard, shooting guard, combo guard, whatever you want to call him, right? Detroit, 2.8 3-point makes allowed to opposing shooting guards. And we mentioned Gordon Hayward for a second. Let's just look at him as well. Detroit actually giving up 4 3-point makes to opposing small forwards. So a couple of different looks for you in terms of, Detroit, how they defend the 3 ball against the point guards, the shooting guards, and the small forwards. Now we should also talk about how Charlotte does, because I've seen their name up here pretty high on the list in terms of 3-pointers allowed. We'll start with the point guards. They're giving up nearly 3 3-point makes to opposing point guards. So maybe that puts Cade Cunningham in play. Looking at the shooting guard position, the Charlotte Hornets giving up the first most 3-point makes in the last 7 games to opposing shooting guards. Over 5 3-pointers allowed. Loving the matchup here for some of these Detroit boys. The small forward position, Charlotte giving up 4.3 3-point makes to opposing small forwards, which is the 2nd most. There's a lot to like here. Charlotte's given up a lot of 3s in the last 7 games, folks. So I think Cade Cunningham is probably in play here. He made 3 in his return to the lineup against Milwaukee. I think there's a good chance for him to repeat. I don't know. It's looking nice. Let's go ahead and pull up a projection for you for young Cade Cunningham. Got him going for 2.1 3-point makes. He is a betting favorite to go under at 2.5 at -120. I don't know, man. I don't know. For me, the matchup's just looking so good across the board. Maybe you play on another site where there's more Detroit players available to you, like a Saddiq Bey, for instance. Maybe Saddiq Bey is up there at 1.5 or 2.5 3-point makes. Some 3s are going to be let loose by this Detroit team. I don't know who's going to make them, but there will be 3s. Just like, that movie, There Will Be Blood. There will be 3s allowed by the Charlotte Hornets. All right, looking at some of these other guys here. None of these other ones are really standing out to me, folks. Got to be real. Got to be honest with you. Like Norman Powell at 2.5, 50% hit rate in the last 10 games. 20% hit rate in the last 5. Just not loving it. Not loving it. And then again, here we are. Tons of free throw make options up on the board. I see your super chats. Give me just 1 minute. Yeah, Chris, I tried to do like a recap. I try to do a recap when I can. I have added chapters to the replay at least, so at least you can switch between like points, rebounds, assists more easily, thanks to me adding the chapters. So I hear what you're saying though. Give me un momento, and I'll get to those super chats. I will not let those super chats fall on deaf ears. Let's talk some free throw makes real quick. One guy who's been getting to the line pretty well here is Jalen Green. I think he is definitely worth talking about. Jalen Green, 4, 4, 12, and 5. He's just had a knack for getting to the free throw line. He's been doing a great job. So I think he could possibly be in play here against Washington. We know that game will be pretty high scoring. Again, if you want to do some free throw make research, you can look at the game logs inside of here, but you can also go to StatMuse and pull up like a search query for free throw makes. That's another good way to do some research as well. Maybe LaMelo Ball's in play. He had 0 in his last game, but he's got 4, 4, and 5 in 3 other games. Again, you know this game's going to be high scoring. I'm looking to target the guys with the highest usage rates. The guys that I know are going to be aggressive, that are going to have the basketball in their hands, that are going to work to get themselves to the free throw line. Cade Cunningham at 2 free throw makes. I mean, that seems doable against Charlotte. Seems doable. We know he's going to have the ball in his hands. Is he going to be aggressive with it? Hopefully. Like, I don't know that I want to take a Daniel Gafford. Like, maybe he gets fouled under the hoop or something like that. But, you know, those are the type of players that I'm probably looking to avoid. I want the guys with the high usage. The guys with the basketball in their hand a lot. This one ended up working out for me the other night. Luka Doncic without Kristaps Porzingis going to touch the ball more without KP6 around. He had 6 free throw makes against the Denver Nuggets. Maybe he gets back to the line against Golden State tonight. We know that the Miami Heat are going to be without a lot of their key players. More usage for Kyle Lowry, who had 6 free throw makes against Golden State. So Lowry was able to get to the line and make 6 free throws against Golden State. Do we think Doncic can get there tonight? I think that's a good look. Andrew Wiggins is a guy who's been getting to the free throw line pretty well. 3 or more free throw makes in 3 out of his last 5 games. He has been touching the basketball a ton, and that's what we want to see. Maybe Tyler Herro. We talked about him and Kyle Lowry being the dudes. The dudes. He's hit in 2 out of the last 5 games. Will probably have a much larger role. As we mentioned, a lot of the guys out for Miami. So maybe he's worth considering. Simons, he's going to be in a much larger role. No Damian Lillard, no CJ McCollum. Anthony Simons will have the basketball in his hands a lot more. He had 8 free throw makes against Atlanta. Blew this 3 free throw make number out of the water in his last game without Lillard, without McCollum. So, I mean, there's some options up here for sure. But that's how I want you to think about these. I want you to consider the guys who are going to have the basketball in their hands a lot, who are going to be touching the ball more. Saddiq Bey, we've loved him for points, for rebounds, for assists. He had just 2 free throw makes against Milwaukee in his last game. But the previous games, 5, 12, 8, and 5, those were without Cade Cunningham, mind you. So maybe Cade impacts him in this way in the free throw make department. I don't know if we love Saddiq Bey's free throw makes. I think Cade Cunningham at 2 seems a little bit, more palatable, more doable, right? He's got to get to the line like at least once and knock down both of them, but twice would be ideal, and he knocks down 3 out of 4. So there's some options for you out there for sure. There's some sweet spots, but target the guys that you know are going to have the ball in their hands, that aren't going to just sit out there at the 3-point line and hope to get fouled on a 3-point attempt. You want the guys that are going to be attacking the basket. They're going to have the basketball in their hands. They're going to be attacking the rim. You also want guys, if there's a technical foul opportunity, you want the guys that are going to be the designated shooter for their team in a technical foul situation. Or you want the guys that are going to be in a late game situation when the other team starts to intentionally foul. Maybe you target those guys who at the end of the game are going to touch the basketball and be sent to the free throw line for a couple of easy free throw makes. That would be like your Luka Doncic, your Steph Curry's. Probably from Miami, Tyler Herro would fit the bill there. With all the injuries to Portland, Anthony Simons would probably be that technical free throw shooter, that late game intentional foul free throw shooter. That would probably be Anthony Simons for them. Maybe it's LaMelo Ball for Charlotte. I would imagine it would be Bradley Beal for Washington. He's going to have the ball in his hands. You see how he's done. 9, 11, and 10 free throw makes in 3 out of his last 5 games in an up-tempo type of game here against the Houston Rockets with a bunch of young guys like Jalen Green who are probably going to foul a lot. So, I mean, he could be in another good spot. So there's some definite over options here on the free throw board. All right. So with that, let's get to a couple of these super chats. Let's take a look at these. We've got 3 of them waiting for me. Thank you so much, by the way, to everybody who's left a super chat this morning. Nick, one of our supporters here on the channel, probably left more super chats than anyone else that I can think of. He's shouting out a few different plays here. He's got Andrew Wiggins over 17.5 points. We talked about loving him. I think he's in a great spot against Dallas. He's got Kyle Kuzma over 8.5 boards. I told you guys the other day, Kyle Kuzma, for whatever reason, the betting public were down on Kyle Kuzma. I guess they were waiting for him to kind of come crashing back down to earth against the Charlotte Hornets. Didn't happen. In fact, the guy had 14 rebounds against the Hornets, almost cashed his rebound prop before halftime. So I don't know what they were thinking. I guess they thought, Kyle Kuzma can't keep this going forever. Yes, he can. Maybe not forever, but you get the point. 10, 10, 12, and 14 in 4 out of his last 5 games. He's been on a tear. Just looking at the matchup real quick, Kuzma, kind of that power forward type of guy here. He's going up against Houston. Houston's given up about 10.2 rebounds per game, so there's some upside here. There's definitely some upside for Kyle Kuzma at 8.5 boards. I ain't mad at it. Let's look at the small forward position as well. Houston giving up, a little more stingy against the small forward position. 6.3 rebounds, second fewest in the last 7 games. Maybe this is the game Kyle Kuzma comes crashing back down. I don't know. He is more the power forward, though, than the small forward for Washington. But just to quickly pull up a projection for you and get to these other super chats, I got Kuzma at 8.2 projected boards. Oh, now the betting public wants to slap the over on Kyle Kuzma. Look, minus 140, minus 140, minus 140. The other day, they were all minus 140 under 8.5 boards against Charlotte or Chicago. I forget which team it was. Now they all want to get on the Kyle Kuzma hype train against Houston, huh? Whatever, you clowns. Mason Plumlee over 2.5 assists. Yes, we definitely talked about that one at great length. And James Harden over 9 dimes. You think this lineup is going to cash? This entry will cash, huh? The only question mark for me is James Harden. Now, the way that you can kind of maybe figure out how things might shake out is, we've talked about it in previous shows. There's an app, not an app, a website called Court IQ. It's by Roto Grinders. It's free for you to use, free tool. And what you can do is go back to last season when Kyrie, James Harden, Kevin Durant were all on the court together. You can kind of run a report and it'll show you how many assists Kyrie got, how many assists Harden got, how many assists Kevin Durant got. You can look at all that stuff using Court IQ by Roto Grinder. So I would advise you to maybe look at some of those games from last season and see how these 3 did when they were all together, all out on the court at the same time. So I think for me, it's going to be more of a wait and see on the Brooklyn Nets. I want to see how everybody gels, how everybody integrates with one another now that the big 3 are back together again. So I'm gonna take that approach. I'm gonna wait and see. So thank you for the super chat once again, Nick. I like a lot of those plays. I think we talked about some good ones there. Andy Lopez says he was able to win $375 despite no solid picks, spreading some love and hopefully some luck. My question is, can you please check Simon's points and Jonas Valanciunas rebounds? Absolutely, Andy. And congratulations on the triple-digit win last night. $375, no small feat. That's a nice chunk of change there, my friend. I'm sure everybody watching would love to have cashed out on $375. So I'm glad it worked out for you. So let's take a look at these picks. You like some Anthony Simons. Look, against Atlanta, this kid went off. He went off. He's an Orlando boy too. He's actually from the area here in Florida. 43 points. 43 against Atlanta. Obviously, we can't expect him to score 43 every night. And I think the matchup against Miami will be a little bit more difficult for Simons. Is he operating as like the point guard? Is that fair to say right now? Or is that more Dennis Smith Jr.? Let's call him a shooting guard because I think DSJ is running point and Simons is kind of running at that 2-guard spot. Then they got Norman Powell as like the 3 spot. So I don't know. Him and Powell probably more interchangeable. Nonetheless, I digress. Miami giving up 23.2 points per game to opposing shooting guards, which puts them inside the top 10. 3, 6, 9th most. 9th most in the last 7 games. They're going to be without Jimmy Butler. It's going to be up to probably somebody like Tyler Herro to try and slow Anthony Simons down. So, yeah, we don't need 43 points out of him. All we need is about 20. And Miami's given up over 23 per game here in the last 7 games. So let's go ahead and pull up a projection for Simons. I got him going for 20.6. That puts him at the over for 19.5. A little concerning that I'm seeing him on some books at 18.5 and other books at 19.5. At 18.5, people are taking the over. At 19.5, people are taking the under. So in between 18.5 and 19.5 lies 19 points. Hopefully he gets 20 points if you're planning on taking the over on Simons. I think it's a pretty good look. I think he's going to have the ultimate green light. Shoot as much as you want. And the matchup looking pretty nice here against the Heat. Now, Jonas Valanciunas could be a little more tricky. He's on a second leg of a back-to-back here. He played last night against Phoenix. Had a pretty darn good game. I'm not seeing Jonas Valanciunas up on the board yet. But what I can do is go ahead and pull up a projection for you if we've got one. I don't. They're playing tonight, right? Or am I crazy? Is New Orleans actually playing tonight? J-Val. You do mean Jonas Valanciunas, I believe, right? I don't know. For whatever reason, they're not up on the PrizePicks board. Not seeing them up on the projections for Action Labs either. New Orleans? I don't see New Orleans even on the slate tonight. No. J-Val? I think that's who you're talking about. Jonas Valanciunas rebounds? I don't know, man. Not seeing him. Played last night. Yeah, just double checking the schedule. I don't see Joe Val. Sorry about that, but hopefully Simons ends up working out. Hopefully that little deep dive on Anthony Simons helped you out. Fred VanVleet over on points. Thank you so much for ZXR Skills for leaving a super chat. Fred VanVleet, you want to go back to Fred VanVleet over on points. Well, he is also in a back-to-back. He's facing off against Milwaukee tonight. Let's take a look at Fred VanVleet. Fred VanVleet, 21.5 points. Got it done yesterday, 33 points. Look at this 5-game log here for Fred VanVleet at 21.5 points. Just a straight-up assassin. Been on fire, a fireball. 31, 27, 31, 35, and 33. The reason I was a little hesitant on Fred VanVleet last night wasn't really because of the matchup. It was because you had OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, Scotty Barnes, Gary Trent Jr. Like they were fully loaded. But Fred VanVleet wasn't worried about it. Went ahead and dropped 33 points real quick on the San Antonio Spurs. So he has been really hot. Now, I will say he's probably going to match up tonight against, in my opinion, one of the better defensive guards in the league, Drew Holiday. So maybe it could be a little bit of coming back down to earth type of situation. But let's look at this matchup. The Milwaukee Bucks, against point guards, allowing the second fewest points per game over the last 7 games to the point guard position. 17.6 would put him under 21.5. This is going to be a tough matchup, guys. Let's use something like StatMuse to look at this a little bit closer. Fred VanVleet points versus Drew Holiday game logs. So you got 2 games of Fred VanVleet versus Drew Holiday as he's been on the Milwaukee Bucks. In those 2 games, one game he had 10 points. And that was January 27th, 2021, so almost a year ago. The last time he faced Drew Holiday in the Milwaukee Bucks, he had 29, which was December 2nd of last year, just about a month ago. So 1 over, 1 under on Fred VanVleet at 21.5 points versus Drew Holiday. Now, these other matchups against Drew Holiday, they were from, 2017, 2018, 2019. So we could kind of, take those with a grain of salt. But these 2 recent matchups, kind of interesting. 50% hit rate, 1 over, 1 under. Another thing that we could look at here is Fred VanVleet versus the Bucks game logs. So this could be with or without Drew Holiday, but looking at it, 29, 17, 33, 10, 14, 12, 10. So it's been like more often than not he's went under. He's covered this point prop against Milwaukee in 2 out of however many games this is. But he has covered in 2 recent games. 2-16-21 had 33. 12-2-21-29 like we talked about. So that's just kind of an example of how you could go a little bit further with your research using a site like StatMuse. But let's finish this one off with looking at a projection on Fred VanVleet. Got him going for 20.6 points. And at 21.5, he is a minus 125 betting favorite to go over 21.5. Look, there's no doubt about it. Guy's been on fire. But you guys saw the matchup and how few points are allowed to the point guard position by the Milwaukee Bucks, just 17.6. Drew Holiday's for real, y'all. He is a good little defender. So, I don't know. I don't know if I love VanVleet today as much as I did yesterday. So let's take a look at some of your questions here. We've answered 3 already, thanks to your super chats. I appreciate those. I'm not going to scroll up too far. I'm not going to go all the way back up to the top. I'll start right around where these super chats kind of came in. How about that? That sounds fair. Duran wants to know about KCP. KCP points over. He was just missing open shots last game, and he played 30 minutes every game. The shots are there. So that's definitely an interesting point. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope has shown some scoring punch since joining the Washington Wizards. He's at 12 right now. 12 right now. The last 5 games, not terrible. Hit 12 or more points in 60% of those games. The averages are ugly, 10.4 points. The averages are ugly. I'm just going to quickly pull up a projection. Won't go too deep. Again, don't let this, what we're talking about here and now, be the end of your research, okay? Let this be kind of the beginning of the process. Just some names, some props, some things to think about, all right? Now, what's interesting about Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, he's projected for 11.5 points, but out on 4 different books, 3 of the 4 books has him at 13.5, which is a 1.5 higher than where he's at on PrizePicks now at 12. He's also at 12.5 on another book. And at 12.5, he's a betting favorite to go over 12.5 points. So this is a value play. 12 points versus 12.5 and 13.5 on a couple of different books out there. So for me, I'm probably going to ignore the projections here, or at least cross-reference these projections on a few different other sites. But I think we're seeing a little bit of value here on Kentavious Caldwell-Pope in a good matchup against the Houston Rockets. So I'm with you, man. He's getting the minutes. He's getting the shots. I think Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is definitely worth consideration. Football Room TV wants to know about some Jalen Brunson assists over. Looks really good. Well, of course, there's no Kristaps Porzingis for the Dallas Mavericks. Jalen Brunson probably benefits from that to some degree. Probably not as much of a benefit to him as when Luka Doncic is out and Kristaps Porzingis is in, but still, maybe Jalen Brunson is worth looking at. So let's go find him here on the board. Is he up? Yep, there he is. 4.5 assists against the Golden State Warriors. So I could tell you that most of these games in the last 5 were probably without Luka and with Porzingis. This game here against Denver, Luka was definitely in. Porzingis was out. So kind of interesting. He failed to go over 4.5 assists. So he's going up against Golden State today. We know they're a tough team. Pulling up a projection on Brunson. Let's go to his assist. 4.8 is the projection. Slightly more than 4.5. And then only one book. I'm seeing some info there. Just even money. Nobody's taking the over or under. So I think there's better options here for you, to be honest, man. I don't know that I would, go crazy. On an 11-game slate, I think there's going to be better picks, better plays, better ways to go than trying to figure out what we're going to do with Jalen Brunson. Prajwal Katka. He wants to know, who's your favorite play? We liked a lot of Sadiq Bey props. A lot of Sadiq Bey props look good. We talked about a lot of interesting free throw props. We talked about Mason Plumlee's assist at 2.5. Maybe Kyrie Irving at 3.5. That seems kind of low. That seems doable. I don't know what to expect out of the Brooklyn Nets. Seth Curry over assists at 4. Definitely in play. Seth Curry over rebounds at 2.5. Definitely in play. The Charlotte-Detroit game is going to be one that I think will probably be one that's worth targeting. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored there. I think Washington-Houston's going to be a game where a lot of points are scored. We could look at Kyle Kuzma again at rebounds at 8.5 against Houston. He's been getting it done. There's a lot of good options out there. Zach wants to know about Kyle Lowry under 2.5 3-point makes. Well, we've talked some overs. Kyle Lowry under 2.5 3-point makes. For me, what I'd probably have to do is kind of look at with like some of the top usage guys out of the lineup. So I would go to like Court IQ. I would take Bam out. I would take Jimmy Butler out, obviously. And then I'd kind of run that report. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be an exact science, but it would kind of give you at least a more informed idea of how many 3-point shots Kyle Lowry takes and makes without some of the big high usage players in the lineup for Miami. Duncan Robinson, he's another guy that's going to be out. So yeah, I mean, it's obvious, he's gone under 2.5 3-point makes in 5 straight games, right? So pretty clear that the under on Kyle Lowry would probably be in play. Let's just pull up a projection. Of course. He's gone under for 5 straight games. Why wouldn't his projections be over 2.5? Why wouldn't the betting public be taking the over at 2.5 3-point makes? Makes total sense. It's probably going to be due to matchup. Let's look at the matchup real quick. Portland giving up about 2.9 3-point makes to opposing point guards. Lowry will have a bigger role. He just will without Jimmy Butler around. So it's dangerous. Again, maybe there's other looks, other plays to consider. Dominic, Michael, both liking some Gafford over free throw makes against Houston. You think so? I mean, it's going to have to come, because Christian Wood or somebody's slapping this guy down in the paint, right? Maybe it can happen. Marco, you're kind of saying what I'm saying. I wouldn't bet on any Lowry unders. It's definitely risky, right? It's definitely risky with all the injuries to Miami. Marco's also talking about Michael Conley over 30.5. Seems like a lock with all the Jazz injuries. Michael Conley over 30.5. Is that fantasy points? 30.5 fantasy points, maybe? Where's he at? Did I skip him? I passed him, didn't I? Yep, there he is. 30.5 going up against Denver tonight. He's covered in 3 out of the last 5 games, 60% hit rate. If we go to the point guard position and you go over to FD points, FD points stands for FanDuel points. PrizePicks and FanDuel, one and the same in terms of scoring. You look at this matchup here, Denver has given up the first most fantasy points per game to opposing point guards over the last 7 games. Nearly 60 fantasy points allowed to opposing point guards. So yeah, love the matchup for Michael Conley Jr. here. Going up against the team giving up the most fantasy points. Pulling up a projection for Michael Conley Jr. Whoa, I don't know what's going on here. That's crazy. There we go. That was weird. 32.6 fantasy points is his projection today. Not a super high rating, 75.8. But still, the over looking like a great way to go on Mike Conley Jr. Love it. Boki, you're talking about some Clint Capella later on tonight. I don't know what you're liking about him or not liking about him, but yeah, we talked football. If you could like refrain from like repeating yourself or like using all caps or, you know, doing all that extra stuff, we'll call it. If you could refrain from like repeating your posts, repeating your picks, like spam, in other words, don't spam the chat. That's all I'm saying. Sean Murphy, you're asking about what site is that? Well, these sites are Fantasy Labs. These two are Fantasy Labs. Again, promo code coming soon, folks. If you're interested in signing up for Fantasy Labs and Action Labs, I will have a promo code that should save you a little money if you're looking to sign up for Fantasy Labs. But these are Fantasy Labs. This is a free site by Fantasy Pros, which is basically a defensive versus position type of breakdown. Totally free. Fantasy Pros, FanDuel defense versus position. That's all you have to search for on Google. And then this one here is StatMuse. And then obviously our player prop site of choice, PrizePicks. PrizePicks. So those are all the sites. So there you go. Cade Cunningham, Shadow Stefan, you're talking about Cade Cunningham at 5.5 assists. Let's go look at him. Cade's back in the mix for Detroit. We talked about him re-entering the lineup. Don't see him up on the PrizePicks board yet. So maybe you're able to get him on a different site, which is totally cool. Totally cool. Let's pull up a projection for Cunningham since we can't really like look at his game logs or anything. He's at 6.5 assists on 3 different books. A huge betting favorite at -140, -160 on a couple of sites. And I've got him projected for 5 dimes. 5 dimes for Cade Cunningham. So at 5.5 assists, a little tricky. Maybe you lean toward the over, being that he's at 6.5 on most sites. Yes, we've talked about Brunson at 4.5 assists. I don't know that I love it. Could you take it? I guess you could. But be mindful that a lot of those games where Brunson was hitting his assist prop were without Luka Doncic. That's my word of warning to you about Jalen Brunson assist at 4.5. No Luka, love it. With Luka, don't know about it. Jump ball, you're liking some Luka Doncic over fantasy points. Let's quickly explore that one for you real quick. Luka's at 48 going up against the Golden State Warriors. Covered this in just 2 of his last 5 games. Obviously, just getting back into the lineup here. January 2nd, January 3rd, 2 games in since the long layoff between December 10th and January 2nd. Yeah, he missed a lot of basketball games. That's what I'm talking about. So you're looking at those Jalen Brunson assists, and you're like, "Ooh, he's been hitting in the last 10 games." Well, a lot of those games have been without Luka Doncic. So just be careful. Be careful with it. I think Brunson did hit on January 2nd, but fell short on January 3rd. It's going to be harder for him to hit his assist props with Luka being so ball dominant. But we're here talking about Luka's fantasy points. So at 48 fantasy points, let's look at this matchup. He's kind of the point forward. We talked about it earlier, going up against Golden State. Golden State, pretty giving here, giving up 49.6 fantasy points per game to opposing point guards, which puts them right around like the top 10. Now, Luka's kind of, like I said, a point forward. So let's just, for fun, take a look at Golden State and how they do against opposing small forwards. A little bit more difficult, 36.3 fantasy points allowed. But again, I kind of consider Luka to be more that point guard role. So let's go pull up a projection on his fantasy points for you. Got Doncic going for 51.5 fantasy points. And his rating is 85.6. Now here's an idea. Here's another way that you could use StatMuse. You could go Luka Doncic FanDuel points versus Warriors game logs. I'm letting you in to some secrets here, folks. Putting you on game here, all right? I'm putting you on game. Anyway, you could go ahead and use this this search result to kind of see how Luka's done against the Golden State Warriors here recently. 57 the last time they met, which was April 27th of last year. 62.9 back on February of last year. 41, 32. Those are obviously both unders. 70 on December 28th of 2019. 70 on November 20th of 2019. March 23rd of 2019, 57. So he's got some games in there where he's gone over against the Golden State Warriors. If you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, his last 10 games, he is covered in 5 of 10. 50% hit rate. Not great, but not terrible. Not great, but not terrible. So that's another way to use StatMuse to your advantage. So they like him to go over tonight. They like Luka over fantasy points, according to Fantasy Labs. Nas Little points. Nasir Little of the Portland Trail Blazers. Going to be in a bigger role with all the injuries and issues that Portland's dealing with. He's at 12.5 points. He had 22. So both him and Anthony Simons had pretty good games. So maybe Nasir Little does his thing once again against Miami tonight. Let's just pull up a projection for you, and we'll try to get through as many questions as possible. I got Nasir Little going for 12.9. Couple of books with a little bit of action on the under at 12.5. A little bit of action on the 12.5. I think for me, it's going to be Anthony Simons, who I feel a little bit more better about. I think he's going to shoot a lot more and is the better scorer. But obviously, 7 points higher on his point prop. Yes, Jeff B, 1988. I agree. We need some Yurtseven rebounds at like a number like 10.5 would be sweet. I think we could all get on board with 10.5 rebounds. Denzel, points on Curry. Think he projected for 29.9 tonight. Please check. Trying to win $800. Points on Steph Curry. Is that who we're asking about? 26.5. Whew. He's seen his number go from like 29.5 to 28.5. Now he's 26.5. He had 9 points against Miami. Played absolutely terrible. I took the under in that game, by the way. Ended up working out. Kyle Lowry, a tough defender. So let's pull up a projection here for Stephen Curry. 29.2 is his projected point prop today. 29.2. But at 26.5, minus 120 betting favorite to go under on your favorite sports book. Going up against Dallas. Again, another way that you can use this tool. You could say, this tool being StatMuse, by the way. You could say Stephen Curry versus Mavericks game logs. And then you kind of get an idea of how many points he's scored against Dallas. 27, 57, 28, 48. All overs. 4 in a row. Last 4 meetings, he's gone over against the Mavericks. 22-20 falls short. 32-29. But now we're starting to go back quite a ways. 2018, 2017. That was a long time ago. Worth mentioning, though, the last 3 times he's faced Dallas, 27, 57, and 28. He's gone over in 3 straight games. Okay? There you go. It's going to be a battle of a couple of the superstars here. Steph Curry versus Luka Doncic. we got another super chat. It's Nick Guthrie, my man. He's back again with the super chat. He's liking Marcus Smart over 4.5 assists. Well, listen, just right off of like my old memory bank here, Marcus Smart at 4.5 assists does seem kind of low. Is he gone? Did they pull him? Maybe you're getting him somewhere else. I don't see Marcus Smart up on the PrizePicks board. But yeah, at 4.5 assists, if that's really his number, that seems too good to be true. Yeah, 4.5 assists, minus 155 betting favorite to go over. And I got a projected for 5.7. So if we get him up on the PrizePicks board at 4.5, love it. Love it. Jaylen Brown over 3-point makes. Oh, they did add a couple more 3-point shooters. Last 2 games, dropped 3 and 5 triples respectively against the San Antonio Spurs. Let's just look at a projection here. Got him going for 3.6 triples. 3.6, but at 2.5, we're seeing betting favorite at minus 125. So the public not liking the over on the threes quite as much. Porter. Where's he at? Is that Kevin Porter Jr.? Is that guy still in the league after what he did to his coach? Let's take a look. I don't have a prop up for Porter. Let's refresh Action Labs here. Maybe they've added some more. Let's take a look. Boom, boom. There we go. 5.6. I got him going for 5.6, so it's pretty close. Not seeing a huge edge when we kind of compare the projections. Andrew Wiggins. He is not up on the PrizePicks board, but 1.5 threes on Wiggins looks nice. I know he's been knocking them down at a pretty high clip. I think you're talking about Andrew, right? Not Aaron Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins is at 1.5 threes, minus 185, minus 180. Betting favorite to go over, and I've got him at 2.2. And then you're liking ball over assists at 7.5. Ball over 7.5 dimes. What site are you playing on here? He's at 6 assists over on PrizePicks. He's at 6 assists on PrizePicks. He is at 7.5 assists on every single sports book, but minus 155, minus 145 betting favorite to go under. I'd have to take the over here, right? I know he struggled the last 2 games at racking up assists, but he ain't going to stay down forever. 6 assists versus 7.5. That's a ton of value. That's a ton of value. Don't mind that at all. Oh, wow. There was a little narrative there, huh? Anthony Simon's grandfather died, so he went off. Whew, interesting. Nick is saying that James Harden averages 13 dimes with Kyrie on the court, and that includes last year. That's a good piece of information. Good little nugget. Scroll through a couple of these other ones here. Cash Chowdhury. I don't even know how to say your last name. Cash Chowdhury? Chowdhury? Is that a joke? Is that some sort of sick joke, dude? I hope you don't pronounce that Chowdhury. That's just too many jokes. Too many jokes. Kyle Lowry assists versus Portland. My bad, dog. Cash. We're going to say Chowdhury. Chowdhury. Cash Chowdhury. Not Chowdhury. Because that don't sound right. That ain't sitting right in my spirit, my brother. 9.5 assists for Kyle Lowry. Yeah, we talked about him a little bit. This matchup against Portland, they're giving up over 10 assists per game. So you could definitely look at some Kyle Lowry assists if you're liking it. I just don't know what his role will be without, some of the stars for the Miami Heat. Hey, Football Room TV, man, you're like asking to get banned, I guess, huh? You just keep spamming that same pick over and over again. Oh, Andy Lopez meant Yusuf Nurkic, not Jonas Valanciunas on those rebounds earlier. Okay, that makes some sense. You had me puzzled and confruzzled because I was like, New Orleans doesn't play today. Yusuf Nurkic against the Miami Heat at 10.5 rebounds. I think that could be a good look. Let's just go look at the matchup real quick. Miami giving up, how many rebounds per game to the center position? About 13 per game. So that is actually the 6th fewest in the last 7 games. Going to quickly pull this projection up for you. We got Nurkic at 12.1 projected boards. Now we're seeing him at 10.5 and 11.5 on a couple of different books. At 11.5, minus 140, minus 145 to go under. At 10.5, minus 145 to go over. So pretty good odds here of going over. Projections agree, 12.1 boards. So I think that could be a worthwhile look for sure. Edgar, yeah, we got to talk Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid at 28.5 points versus Orlando. These young boys, Wendell Carter Jr., Mo Bamba, man, they're in trouble. They're in trouble tonight. They don't know what's coming for them. It's Embiid. Listen, Orlando, though, look, 19.5 points per game allowed in the last 5 games to opposing centers. Now, that could be because maybe they face some weak scoring centers. But, yeah, I mean, pretty decent. You got the Twin Towers in there, Wendell Carter Jr. and Mo Bamba. What are they going to do against Joel Embiid? Good question. Here's what I like to do. Joel Embiid versus Mo Bamba game logs. Check it out, man. Listen, Mo Bamba's doing his thing here. He allowed 32 points to Embiid back on 10/20/2018. That was a while ago. But look at these other games. 19, 13, and 16. My man Mo Bamba putting the clamps on Joel Embiid. With that length, that wingspan. All right? And maybe it's not Mo Bamba. Maybe it's going to be Wendell Carter Jr. He dropped 30 on Wendell Carter Jr. back on 10/18/18. 50 on Wendell Carter Jr. on 2/19/21, so February of last year. But the last 2 games, 13 and 16 versus Wendell Carter Jr. Put some respect on these boys, Mo Bamba and Wendell Carter Jr. You see what they've been doing in their last 7 games, giving up just 19.5 points to the opposing center. Let's go back. Let's look at the last 15 games. Orlando still holding strong, 19.5 points, 3rd fewest points. Let's go back to the last 30 games. Where you at, Orlando? 21.2. So their defense has gotten better in the last 15 games and the last 7 games. They're putting the clamps on opposing centers. Put some respect on my Magic. Nah, it is Joel Embiid, though, at 28.5 points. He could definitely get it done. Dude's been beast mode. All right, look at the game logs. 4 straight games, 36, 36, 34, 31. Twin Towers in Orlando are going to shut him down tonight. Let's go. Let's see what else you folks are talking about here. I'm going to just skim through these real quick. Oh, Nick is saying, sorry, might be exploring for other sites. I got you. You know I'm a PrizePicks guy, though. My blood runs black and gold for the PrizePicks family. So I was a little confused, Nick. I didn't know what sites you were talking about. All right. Wendell's questionable. Wendell Carter Jr. is going to play. Jack, you're liking some Embiid over on points. Did I scare anybody off of Joel Embiid's points tonight after doing a little bit more research? Anybody afraid now? Anybody afraid of the Twin Towers in O-Town? Huh? You guys are going to be shaking in your boots. Just like Joel Embiid will be. Jay Stino, you're like an Anthony Simons at 9.5. Over 9.5 first half points. Yeah, I mean, we like his full game points and his first half points. Looks like a pretty good situation for Anthony Simons. How many minutes is Kyrie playing? Crystal ball. Tell me no, I don't know. I have no idea. I would imagine he is going to be somewhat monitored or limited in some way. Royster says, we're not scared of Mo Bamba. We're not scared of Wendell Carter Jr. All right. All right. We're going to have to make you guys into believers tonight. Let's put the clamps on Joel Embiid. If Kyrie is getting full minutes, 3.5 assists, yeah, seems a little bit too low. I think Kyrie can get 4 dimes. I mean, that does seem kind of low, right? Smooch. You're liking the rebounds for Yusuf Nurkic. You're also liking some Terry Rozier over 18.5 points. Terry Rozier had me sweating the other day, guys. We had the over at 17.5 points versus Washington. This dude was putting up major bricks, but ended up coming through in like the third and fourth quarter for us. Rozier, kind of hot and cold. Never know who's going to step up for the Charlotte Hornets. But Rozier, pretty solid when it comes to getting his shots up there. He's been taking a lot of them. Doesn't always make a lot of them. Not the greatest field goal percentages, but you know he's going to get his. You know he's going to put up some points, right? So we like the matchup. Going up against Detroit, should get plenty of opportunities once again. This is a type of game where Rozier could shine. At 19.5 points, I got him projected at, at 18.5 on PrizePicks. He's at 19.5 on other sites, but I've got him projected for 19.4. 19.4. Now at 18.5 on a couple different books, he's a betting favorite at -120 and -122 to go over. I think he's in play. I think he's in play. I'm scared of Embiid. Come on. Does it look like I'm scared? I ain't scared. You're scared. Isaac says, if your book has Niang, am I saying that right? Niang props, I love riding with his threes over because the Sixers might blow someone out. All right. It's fair play. Blaze, what's your favorite Sadiq Bey play? Man, they're all looking pretty good. The points, the rebounds, the assists, all looking nice. Going back up here to Cody, he's asking about Giannis under rebounds. If there's a blowout situation, then yeah, I took Giannis under 12 rebounds the other night, and it ended up working out. Where is Antetokounmpo? Oh, he's at 12.5 versus Toronto. Going up against Pascal Siakam and them boys. Let's look at this matchup real quick. Power forwards, rebounds, Toronto. What's happening in the last 7 games? Toronto, they're clamping. They're clamping down on the boards. 9.5 rebounds allowed to opposing power forwards in the last 7 games. That is the 8th fewest. So looks like a difficult matchup here for Giannis. Let's go ahead and pull up his rebound projection for you. 12.2. Now he's at 11.5 on 3 different books, 3 different sites. So PrizePicks has him up at 12.5. I think they're daring us to go under here. I might have to go under. Bad matchup. A number that's 1 rebound higher than 3 different books. There you go. All right. Couple more questions here. Thanks for all the likes, guys, by the way. You guys are running those likes up. Appreciate that. Appreciate all the likes. Let's take a couple more. Yurtseven rebounds are up at 12.5. I know a lot of people have been waiting for Omer Yurtseven. 12.5 rebounds doesn't seem like enough. I know he's going to have his hands full against our man Nurkic. Somebody mentioned they liked Nurkic rebounds. Let's go to the center position. Let's go see how Portland has been doing. They're giving up 16.9, nearly 17 rebounds to opposing centers. That is top 10 material, folks. Top 10 matchup for Omer Yurtseven at 12.5 boards. I think the over is definitely in play. I think it's in play. Let's refresh here. Let's make sure we get all the most recent props loaded in. Let's go to rebounds. Let's go Omer. Oh, yeah. 13.9 projected boards. Let's call it 14, and let's call it an over on Omer. Golly, an hour and 49 minutes. Holy smokes. Yeah, guys, it's about time for me to get up out of here. 2-hour show. Holy crap. Looking at some Pascal Siakam assists. Pascal Siakam assists. Where's he at? He's not here. So I'll just pull up a projection for you on Siakam's assists. I got Siakam at 4.5 projected assists, which is exactly where you're going to find him on your favorite sports book. They're slapping the minus 140, minus 150 under. Kuzma first half. Look, if you're curious about any like Kyle Kuzma or anybody else, Kyle Kuzma first half points game logs. All you got to do, go to StatMuse, type that joint in. Kyle Kuzma first half points game logs. 15, 16, 10, 14, 8, 8, 4. So you kind of get an idea over the last like 5 games. Pretty decent. 14, 16, and 15. Got some big performances, but that's how you look for first half stuff really quickly and easily. Time flies when you're having fun. No doubt, no doubt. And there was plenty to talk about today. But with that being said, guys, it is approaching 1 o'clock. That is almost a 2-hour show. Woo! Didn't expect to be here that long, but appreciate everybody who's tuned in. On your way out, drop a like if any of this research has helped you out, whether you're watching live or you're in the hashtag replay gang. I appreciate all the continued support. Hopefully you guys land in the green again tonight. Lots of different ways to go, as you've seen, as you've witnessed. So dig a little deeper, do a little bit further research, StatMuse, whether it be Fantasy Pros, Fantasy Labs, whatever site you like to use. Make sure you're doing thorough player prop research and getting your money in good. All right. My name's CJ. Thanks again for your support. We'll catch you in the next one tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Peace.